Good evening, good evening, good evening. How y'all doing this evening? This is your boy Daryl. We back. Another episode of the Daryl Show, talking with some sense. Man, first of all, let me clap it up. It's been a week. There have been some changes at work this past week, and I'm glad that I made it through. Uh, as you all know, my name is Daryl Williams. I am the visionary, the proprietor, the executive producer, the you name it of the Daryl Show, and I like to think that I'm talking with some sense. Today is a special day. No, I'm kidding. It's not a special day at all. It's just Sunday, May 4th. Yeah, May 4th, 2025. And I know you guys see the title on Facebook or either YouTube, and I ain't gonna be on long. I just want to talk about a few things, and if I get some questions or comments or telephone calls, then we'll go from there. But for right now, good evening. How y'all doing? I see a couple of people on today. Uh, Again, I've had a great week so far. The Braves are currently winning right now. They're beating the Dodgers 4-2 in Atlanta. It rained good last night and this weekend or whatever. Uh, Life has been lifing. Life has been lifing. I'm doing well with my roommate. He went back to Georgia for the weekend, but I'm doing well with my roommate. Well, not my roommate. He's my tenant. Put it like that. He's my tenant. By that tenant, I mean Daryl Jones. He about to get fired though because he didn't do his work that he's supposed to do this week. But that's neither here nor there. So I never wanted to be this guy. I never wanted to be the quote unquote relationship guy on Facebook. However, I do realize that relationships and black relationships are at an all time. They're important. They're extremely important, and a lot of people are concerned with us and our relationships. How you doing, Pastor Sherry? They're concerned with us and our relationships and how we do things and things like that. But you know, here we are. Um, so I'm just gonna talk about me, my perspective, my relationship experiences and issues and woes and celebrations and victories as well. I'm not I'm not a downer when it comes to relationships. I absolutely positively enjoy um relationships, black love, white love, whomever, but I want people to understand I am attracted to black women. I have been that way for a very long time. Now, in my earlier years, I may have stepped out with white women, experimenting, but my heart has always been with beautiful black women. And I make no, I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed of that. Amen. Um, I'm not ashamed of that, and I make no bones about it. I have no problem with telling people that. I don't have any type of attraction to white women at all, um, especially those that voted for Donald Trump. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, oh my goodness, the Braves let the Dodgers score again. All right, come on now. We're the top of the seventh. It's 4-3. We got to do better than this. We started off rocky this year, but anyway. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of points when it comes to dating and relationships, but I'm talking about me more than anybody else, and what I've had to learn. So let me go back in my history a little bit. I have been divorced. I was married and divorced twice. Okay. I was married in 1989 to my oldest daughter's mother. She and I, the way we met was kind of wild. When I tell this story, people say, "Oh, that was your first red flag," but I was young. I was young, and she was young, and I ain't got nothing negative to say about her. When we first met, though, we first met because she hit my car. I'm from Columbus, Georgia. If you know anything about Columbus, Georgia, we are on the state line between Alabama and Georgia. The Chattahoochee River separates us. Well, this was one night I was coming back from my grandmother's house down in Alabama. It was about 30 minutes away in Pittsfield, Alabama. Down the road, shout out to down the road. Anyway, there was a concert in Columbus. It was on Victor Drive on Georgia 520 or US 280, whichever way you want to look at it. But anyway, 280 goes from Georgia into Alabama and goes all the way to Birmingham, actually, US 280. But anyway, I can't so to get into Columbus, you had to come over a bridge. So I came over a bridge and instantly I forgot about the concert. It was a country concert. I don't know who was there. Excuse me. And I forgot about the concert. So I came over the bridge, and now mind you, I was like 20 years old at the time. So this was many, many moons ago. So I came over the bridge and ended up in concert traffic and got I came across a bridge and ended up in traffic and she hit me from behind. Yes, she hit me in her Toyota Cressida from behind. It hit me hard too because back then we still had cassette tapes, and so my cassette tape jumped out of the tape deck. I got hit so hard, but strangely enough, there was no damage to this car. Now this was only God, and I'll tell you why. There was no damage to this car. This car had picked up from Carl Gregory. It's a dealership that used to be in Columbus, and Carl Gregory. Um, and so with this dealership, I was trying to purchase my first car. Okay. And these people said, well, yeah, you can keep the car for the weekend. We're gonna work it out. We're gonna try to work on it, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. So I took the car and I'm talking about I tried to put some miles on that doggone car. I took that car everywhere that weekend. Strangely enough, so like I said, so here I am driving around in this car that I don't even own. And I get hit. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I was more scared that for the car than I was for myself. So I was like, dang, I'm not gonna be able to, how am I gonna tell these people that this car is damaged, right? So I get out and I look, it's literally just a scratch. I was like, okay, well, praise God. Now I wasn't even saved at the time. It was just praise God. Anyway, so I so I got out. She didn't have no driver's license. I ain't put her down. This is the truth. She had no driver's license. She had no car insurance. Her son wasn't in a car seat. None of these. I'm telling you, this is Georgia, late '90s and early 2000s. This how we roll. We roll dirty like that sometimes. But anyway, so I was like, I looked at the car and I was like, uh, ain't no big a deal. I ain't gonna call the police. It's a lot of stuff happening tonight. Hey, God bless you. Go on about your business, right? So she said, I recognize you. You Carolyn's son. Now, I was like, oh, okay. Shout out to me. So I didn't know that she worked with my mom. So fast forward to like later that year in December of '98. I think yeah, December of '98, because this happened in 1998. And so in December of '98, I went to the club. My brother and I went to the club. I want you to understand, I was single. I could break my plate, but your boy stayed fresh. I had whatever I wanted to have when I wanted to have it because there was nobody but me. I barely had responsibility at the time. Life was great. And my best friends and I had this thing where we say, life was good until girls showed up. But anyway, so we went to the club, whatever. I called myself fresh, and club was called JoJo Benson's. It's right on North Luckin Road, right off of Victory Drive. Well, anyway, so we go in there, and here she is again in there. This time she was in there celebrating her birthday. So she was like, you gonna dance with me for my birthday?" And this is the honest God truth. I don't care if she hear this story because this is exactly how it went. Now she and I won't talk no more at all today, but this is the truth. I was like, sure. Now, I didn't go in there for that. I went in there just to chill, kick it with my brother and his homies and all this type of stuff. And it wasn't no real like method to the madness at the time. We were just going to hang out. And so we danced or whatever, like, and we pretty much stuck together that whole night. Now we so after that, we actually went home together. Now, we did not sleep with one another that night. We didn't sleep with each other for a while. Okay. Now, mind you, this is 1998 going into 1999. And so I didn't realize that she lived two buildings away from me in the same apartment complex because I didn't know. I lived in the F building. She lived in the D building, I think it was. It was an apartment complex in Columbus called Sherwood. It's run down now. People have really taken that neighborhood and just ruined it. But it was nice back then. Well, yeah, it was nice back then. That's how the time it was nice back then. But anyway, so basically I ended up moving in with her. Now mind you, again, I told you I was single, no children, break my plate, do what I want to do. And so I ended up basically moving in, and so she said to me, "We might as well get married because I don't want to live in sin." Pause. That w- I've heard so many people say that over the years and have zero recollection, zero knowledge of what it is that they're saying or talking about. But it worked because that's what we were taught growing up and all of these different things. Now there's truth to it, but you got to be able to walk that thing out, right? Now I'm going to tell you my relationship perspective from a Christian man's perspective. I can be honest about all of my life and all of the things that I've gone through simply because I've been delivered from it. I've been healed from it. The enemy can't hold it against me. So I have no problems with telling you any part of my story. I'm not a slave to it. Okay. So so I was like, nah, I'm good. And then so we stayed, together again. I mean, a little bit longer, and then she came back and said, it was almost a frustration at the time. Like, I'll probably get some backlash from this. Again, I don't care. Um, so eventually, I was like, "All right, let's do it." And it was a Tuesday in January, as a matter of fact, later on in January. So I went to my mom and my aunt and all of them. I was like, I ain't gonna say her name, but me and so and so getting married. Again, I'm not downing her or anything like that. I'm telling my truth. Yeah. Come on, Deshandra. Yeah, look at Deshandra. She's my favorite Georgia Bulldogs hater. Anyway, but anyway, that's what was said. So I told him we ended up getting married on a Tuesday, right? And y'all wouldn't believe this. It was a Tuesday, and I'm not superstitious now, but back then I was kind of superstitious. But it was a Tuesday. And back then you can get married in Alabama without a blood test. You just walk in and apply for a marriage license, and the judge will marry you on the spot. This was we lived in Georgia, but that was the easiest way for us to get married in Alabama because you just pay for your license, and I do. That's all it is. So, we did that. Family came out, and she was tomboyish. Okay, she hated dressing up like a girl. She was very tomboyish. She wore jeans and a t-shirt and put her hair in a ponytail literally every day. That's not something I was really attracted to. But we had started having sex. We had started, being together like that. So it was more euphoria than anything. If I'm honest about that. So we get married, and of course, we didn't have a wedding. It was literally at the courthouse, and we went to out to eat, and we argued. We argued on that day. We argued. I mean, we argued bad, and I know we argued because I was trying to get her to wear a dress, just like, can you just chill and wear this dress, for the rest of the day or whatever. Just let's get through this day. But But we argued, and to me, in hindsight, it was pointless. It was a dumb argument, but we literally argued. So little did I know that was gonna lead to a life of arguing. And I remember one of the things we argued about was having children. Now, mind you, I told you guys, I want you to remember the timeline. She hit me in '98, in the summer of '98. Then we got together. We met up in December of '98, the winter of '98, and by January of '99, she and I was standing in front of a judge getting married. So that's how fast and dumb and crazy I was back then. Now I really didn't have any life experience at the time as far as relationships or anything goes. I didn't know how to lead. I didn't know I wasn't saved. I didn't know anything about God. I didn't know anything about biblical marriage or leadership or anything like that. But this is my truth. This is what happened, and it's what it is. So, so we, like I said, we argued. We argued. I mean, because we both trying to usurp authority upon one another. We didn't have any understanding of being humble, being being selfless, because marriage takes a lot. Marriage takes a lot, and we didn't know anything about it. I think we just took what we saw or what we thought we saw, what we thought we understood with marriage and try to build a life, and it just did not work. So, I remember one of the biggest arguments we had was about having children. And so I was like, listen, I was like, I'm trying to have children or whatever. She was like, nah, her oldest son, she's like, he's enough. And I'm like, you crazy if you think I'm gonna go a whole lifetime without having any children. Oh boy, this is some of the stuff we do. This is some of the stuff we do for stuff. And if I'm honest about it, if I'm very honest and transparent about it, there was no love there at all. I think it was just circumstantial. It was something that we just did just because. But I know in hindsight, and I was very honest with them, with her, and I was, 'cause like I said, I was married and divorced twice. Well, I'll get to the other one in just a second. So we argued, and I was like, "You crazy." Then later on in the year of 1989, it was November to be exact. She came. Because we had went through everything together. We argued, we fought, she moved out, moved back in, blah, 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 whatever case. Again, we're young, we're crazy, we do stupid stuff. So I remember I had gotten this apartment for us, the one that she wanted to move to. I hated that area, didn't want to live there, but it was off of Old Casita Road. It was straight up, it was hood, but that's what she wanted. So that's but mindsets make a difference. So we argued about it, and we fussed about it. And then eventually she came to me, and like I said in November, said, "You finally got you one." I'm like, "What?" So she comes showing me this doggone pregnancy stick and she telling me that she was pregnant. And I had prayed this prayer before I even had children. Okay. I said, God, I said, God, I want a daughter. I said, I want a woman in my life that's gonna love me unconditionally, no matter what. That was my prayer to God before I even know anything about having children or anything like that. And I'm telling you, I'm surprised God even heard that prayer because I was nowhere near faithful to Him at all. But it happened. So so she came and she brought, the pregnancy, stick, whatever. And, it was to me, like, my whole world changed. Once I learned that information, I was forced to grow up. I felt like I was forced to grow up because I knew I had another person to take care of besides myself. And I'll tell anybody, and this is my truth, I was a trash husband to 2 women. I was a very trash husband. Yet, when it came to being a father, or when it comes to being a father, I don't believe anybody will be able to beat me. That there probably some. If you got more money, I guess you can buy more stuff. But when it comes to being engaging and doing all the things I need to do for my children, you're gonna have to put your shoes on and pack you a lunch because it's gonna be tough. But anyway, so we weren't even really together when she got pregnant with Destiny. Now I don't have any issues with believing that this little girl is mine because she is. She looks just like both of us. I don't know where she get the attitude from, but I love my baby. And shout out to my baby. Anyway, so we never got back together. She was pregnant, she had our daughter, never got back together, and I decided to move on. So we stayed married from January 1999 until February 14th, 2002. By this time, though, I was already in a relationship with someone new, which became my second wife. She and I got married in August 2002. Y'all, I know on paper I seem like a mess, but this is my truth, and I'm here to tell it because I want to talk about relationships and where I stand with relationships over the years. So she and I got married in August 2002, and our divorce became final. We got divorced in November 2011. At this time, when I decided to get remarried, which was my grandmother's birthday, August 24th, she was already 7 months pregnant with my oldest son that came from my own loins, Daryl Jr. I went into this very lax. I went into this uh, with a mindset that did not was not conducive to anything. My second wife had a lot of stuff that I didn't have. She had her mom and dad were still together. Excuse me. She had all of her brothers and sisters came from the same household. She had grandmother, grandfather. She had a bigger family and all that type of stuff. Now I was never jealous of it. I of them. I actually embraced them and I took on those, I tried to take on those characteristics. And I remember her mom, saying, well, she had a son as well, which is, I count him as my oldest son because I met him at 3 years old and I raised him into adulthood. So when anybody asks me, I have 5 children. I literally had 4 natural children, but one bonus son that will always be my son. I've actually even broken up with women because they wouldn't acknowledge who he was. But that's another time, another day. But anyway, so she and I got married, and here I am. I'm unhealed, coming out of one situation, going straight into another one. We already have a child on the way. It was just young and dumb, just playing just playing crazy on my part, simply because I knew now what I know. If I knew then what I know now, I'd probably not have any children. I'd probably not have any children. I'd probably be a virgin right now. So I'm gonna go with that. Okay. But the truth of the matter is, I was young and I was dumb and I thought I could work through things, but honestly, I was miserable, not because of her, but because of me. Again, I didn't have any understanding. I didn't have any wisdom. I didn't have any knowledge. I didn't have anything to tell me or help me to be a man. I didn't have that. I didn't have the example of, this is how you lead a family and all this type of stuff. And I just didn't have it. I didn't have it and I didn't know how to attain it. I saw relationships from a distance, but I didn't understand the inner workings of a relationship. I didn't understand the sacrificial love and things like that that you needed to sustain a relationship as a young man in my early 20s. I didn't know anything about it. So anyway, she and I, we had our ups, we had our downs, but every a lot of stuff that happened in our relationship was on me because I didn't do right. I was the one who stepped out on my marriage. I was the one who did not take it seriously. I literally went into the marriage with the mindset that if it does not work out, I could just divorce her. I said that. Nobody else said that. I said that because I was crazy. I was dumb. I was, is I don't know how else to put it. I was just who I was. But anyway, but I went in with that mindset and it wasn't right and it wasn't conducive to try to raise a family. My and she and we lasted, like I said, for 9 years. I experienced a lot of stuff with her that was stuff I never experienced with anybody else. As far as relationships go. But I have no problems with my exes, and either one of my exes. Then she and I ended up getting, we tried. We had two different religions, not necessarily religions, but denominations in religion, I should say. And that was a huge one for us. Again, I didn't know anything. So that was a huge one for us. And it was something that I wish I would have explored more before I would have said I do. And I understand that God takes covenant completely serious. Now I understand that He takes covenant completely serious, and I hate that I did not take it as serious as I could have or should have back then, because in hindsight, I got saved while I was married the second time. I got saved in 2007. Shout out to Joe and Sharika's cousin Toya, who ended up leading me to the altar to be saved in her own special way. Anyway, but I ended up getting saved in 2007. I remember my best friend and I, we had our only one and only argument where I was a handful. I was out there in them streets heavy. And when she and I tried to work it out, I was like, man, this is too much. Cause I was telling Tyrone, my best friend, about how hard it was. And he was like, nah, you gonna he was like, just like you get us women in the streets a chance, you patient and get them a chance, you're gonna give her a chance. I was like, anyway. I said, but it lasted for a good 5 minutes because I knew my friend was giving me truth. I knew he was giving me, you know, game essentially. So that's what I did. I tried to stick it out, and I took every step that I could, according to the Bible, to remain in that relationship. Because I'm telling you, I ain't gonna reveal all the gory details, but just know your boy was a wild one. And anyway, so fast forward, we had ended up having two children together, Daryl Jr. and Sugar Mama, my baby. baby girl. And and when we got divorced, I noticed that it was a little bit harder on sugar mama than anybody. But praise God, we made it through those seasons. And then fast forward to 2015, I meet little Scooter's mama. She and I had a very short relationship, ended up with him, and now I got a vasectomy. I want no more children. But anyway, I ain't gonna I'm not going down that road today. But what I've learned though, when I was going through my divorce, when I was going through my divorce the second time, I really had a lot of time and I really had a lot of opportunity to go before God and learn about what it is that He wanted from me when it came to being a man of God, to being a husband, to being a leader and things like that. Now, have I put all of these things into practice right now? As of yet, no. But I can say that I have a better understanding and I'm more careful and more selective. I'm not going to say picky, more selective when it comes to who's in my space and things like that. But one of the first things I've learned about marriage and relationships is you have to uh, be a little selfish. You got to put you first. Okay. And by that, and I got notes right here. Uh, you got to be a little selfish. And by a little selfish, I mean this. You really and truly have to work on yourself. You really and truly have to take some time to really get to know who it is that you are. I encourage my children, I encourage anybody today. Um, date, and this is points 1 and 2 together. Learn what you like, take care of yourself, and date a variety of people. You ain't necessarily got to do it at the same time, but learn what it is that you like, learn what it is that you're attracted to, because if not, you're going to mess somebody's heart up. And by that, I mean, stop trying to force yourself to be with people you know you're not attracted to. Stop trying to force yourself to be with people you know you're not compatible to. That makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference simply because I don't care what nobody say. Rarely ever do you meet people who meet one person and stick with that person for the rest of their lives. They don't even do that in the animal kingdom. So why do we think that we're going to do it as human beings? I want us to really think about that. I want people to really think about, you got to take care of yourself. You got to be a little selfish, and you got to be more. You got to learn what you like, and you got to stick with that. This goes for men and women, but I'm only focused on myself right now. This goes for men and women. Learn what you like and stick with what it is that you like. Don't try to make anything. Don't try to fit a square into a circle when it comes to your life, because me knowing, where God stands when it comes to relationships now, again, I'm way more selective than I used to be. I'm not just gonna let anybody into my personal space. We see, I got this thing, y'all don't know this, but y'all see this beautiful, luscious hair. I don't let it just anybody touch it. Only the person that does it is who is allowed to touch my hair. I don't let people touch my hair. And sometimes the crazy part is, it's sad, but it's almost like the most intimate part of me is my hair, and I'm not worshiping it or anything like that, but for some reason, I don't want anybody to be in my personal space like that. See, I'm that guy, and I got no problem with giving. I'll give you whatever I have when I have it. You can get all of my money, you can get all of my time, you can get all of these things. But the one thing that I can say, and I'm admitting to a lot of people that I struggle with, is I struggle with giving myself away emotionally. Um, and it's not that I don't want to, it's just that I sometimes I'm afraid to. And I know God didn't give me a spirit of fear. I don't need the sermons and all that type of stuff. I get it. But I think it's a little bit different because of some of the things that I've encountered in the past. Now, I'm not a slave to my past or anything like that, but I'm kind of sort of gun shy a little bit when it comes to the emotional reckoning when it comes to people. Sometimes I wonder and I sit back and I wait for the shoe to drop, so to speak. But I've been working on it. I've been in therapy. I'm probably gonna end up going back. But Yeah, I'm really that's really who I am. I've learned that people that you really like, that people that you really deal with, you'll put up with some stuff with that person. There's no lie. If it's a person you're really attracted to and you really want to be with, you'll put up some stuff with them. You'll do stuff that you say that you wouldn't do with these people. You'll give them grace, you'll give them mercy, you'll do all of these things, and if anybody says that they won't, they're lying. These relationship gurus and all of this online that's give you 5 points to do this and 5 points, they all lying. If it's somebody that if it's somebody that lights their fire, they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that fire stays lit. I promise you. That's no lie. So, like I said, learn what you like. And don't be afraid to ask the people around you who know you. My best friend will tell if you ask if you ask Tyrone right now what my type is, he'll tell you, oh, she gotta be. I'm not gonna tell y'all because y'all gonna start trying to show up in my DMs. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, but I've had to I've had to I've had to edit that quote unquote list over the years. I don't really have a type anymore. Yes, I still want to be physically attracted to the woman that I'm with, but the one B for me is that character and that spirit has to come along. I had to see what your I still like the sweetness of a woman. I still love the I, I know that was Tyrone that did that. I still like the sweetness of a woman. I still like the softness of a woman, believe it or not. And I'm a trash talker, okay? And if a woman gets with me, she gonna be unsoft real quick, like because I want to be able, I want somebody to be able to go back and forth with me and not be offended because you have to know my heart. I'm not, I promise you, um, I'm not, I'm not malicious with anything that I say. I'm not one of those people that I'm not easy to get angry or anything like that because I've gone through enough where I see what anger does. So I don't do it. And so, but again, learn what you so learn what you like and stick with what you like. And then the third point I would make is work on your mental health. Because a lot of times we get into relationships or we try to start relationships and we're not healed enough for it, like mentally. And that's no lie. We could, there's an old saying. There's an old saying that says the way to get over one is to get under another one. That's the dumbest advice anybody could give for any type of relationship. No, you need to step back. You need to take some time to heal. I've gone through it. It didn't work out. It lasted for as long as I can make it last under my own strength. But at the end of the day, I just could not maintain the relationship. It just didn't work. I've messed up some serious relationships dealing with making people rebound, making women rebounds. And I lost a friendship over, oh gosh, that had been going over for some years because we started a relationship as I was coming out of a relationship and it just did not work. Uh Praise God, we're friends now, but we'll never get back to that intimate place before anymore. But the truth of the matter is sometimes you need to go back and you need to allow somebody who has an unbiased eye and opinion and a listening ear to say, you know what, this right here is what you need to do. This is the time you need to take. This is how you need to rectify this situation right here. You can have a life coach. You can also have a therapist, and most importantly, you can have Jesus. All three of them work together. It all depends how much money you got. Two of them you got to pay for. One you don't. Other one you got to pay for with your time and your focus and attention. But I'm telling you, working on your mental health makes a huge difference when it comes to dating and relationships. People are not people don't owe you anything. People don't owe you any type of um they don't owe you a thing when it comes to your life. They don't owe you to help you with your baggage. They don't owe you to help you with your issues or anything like that. And I used to think that I'm not an emotional person when I had to learn that I'm emotional in other ways. And my emotions mostly are internal and not external. Some people eat themselves. Some people go to the gym. It's just certain things that we do that our emotions say. And mine used to be sex. I can say that. I can say that I spent a lot of times trying to um deal with my emotions through sex and eating. I am kind of sort of an emotional eater at times, but truthfully, that wasn't healthy for me or anyone else because I want to live till I'm 120. So I had to get my eating under control. But anyway, I think the fourth point is after you've done all of those other things, be settled and secure. You have to know who you are. You have to know who you are when it comes to just you. and what you like, what you don't like, what you're going to deal with, what you're not going to deal with. Excuse me. Because a lot of times, just like me earlier in my life, I wasn't settled and secure. So I was able to, I took on anything that said that better than I would at me or whatever the case may be. I did it. I said, anybody who said, "Hey, you gonna dance with me?" I did it. If now for who I am, I know how to let people down easy. I know how to say, you know what, this doesn't work for me. Um, because I look at things a little differently now. I give people a chance, and I look at things a little bit differently, a whole lot differently, to be honest. I give people a chance to be who they are, and I know me. It's like the way if I was approaching a woman, it wouldn't. I approach women based on stuff that I know fits my life. If I know I'm not attracted to something, or I know it's something I can't deal with, I don't even acknowledge a woman. I don't acknowledge that person. I let them just live their lives the way that they want to, because that's who they are. Who am I to change what they do? Yeah, now it's one thing that y'all don't wore me down with. I'm not gonna lie. It's these doggone weaves and wigs. I hated them. God knows I do. But my cousin had to put me on. She said, certain women need weaves and wigs because they may be dealing with something on the inside. They may be dealing with something as far as the health and all that type of stuff. Okay, so I've come up off of that. I've been able to look past that, and I'm talking about I used to hate it, but that's not to me. It's not an automatic X anymore. I see women that wear weaves and wigs. I'm like, you don't even need it, but that's your choice, whatever the case may be. Whatever. But yes, be secure. Know who it is that you are, and you got to be settled. And because I operate from the mindset that it's only three things that really can make your relationship work and stick and last for a lifetime: trust, respect, and a well made up mind. That well made up mind is is not the most important, but it's just as important as the other two. Simply because I think because I remember my ex girlfriend and I went to a car dealership to buy her car way back in like 2000, whatever year it was. But anyway, we were in the dealership, and the man had said he had been married like 36 years, and she was like, "Well, how did you guys last that long?" He said, "Trust and respect." And I'm telling you, I took that with me and I mulled over it. It was in LaGrange Toyota. I'll never forget it. A white guy. He was like, he's like 36 years. He says, she and we got a lot of trust and respect. He was like, people be worried about love and money and all this type of stuff. He's like, that stuff will come. And I remember telling her, before, I was like, when you get into relationships, especially when you're talking about marriage, certain things are going to happen. You're going to have money issues. You're going to have health challenges. You're going to have to deal with distractions and things like that. Because, like my old pastor used to say in Savannah, shout out to Charles Robeson Senior. He's like, ladies, that woman doesn't want your 5-year husband or your 5-month husband. She wants your 25-year husband, the one that's already been worked out, and you guys are on a rhythm at this point. And it's true, but it takes trust, respect, and a well read up mind to get up there. Um, right now, I'm in that place where I have to. I know that when I do decide to get married, or when I do come across someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with, the number one thing that I will absolutely positively do is make sure I have a well made up mind. The trust is probably going to be the easiest thing she gets from me, and the respect is going to be just as easy because I want those things in return. I don't give what I don't want in return, and I don't take what I don't need in return. But that well made up mind is I'm talking about very important aspect to any type of relationship, more than money. So my last point, and I told you I wasn't going to be out here long today. Honestly, I didn't even know what I was going to say. I prayed and said, God, let your words come out. But money, this is a touchy one, especially nowadays. Nowadays, things are so shaky and uncertain, especially in the American government and finances, and people are being laid off from jobs, and we got people boycotting and different things like that. Money, money is extremely important. Now, I could tell you, I would say make sure you have all your money together and things like this before you get into a relationship. And some people require that, but I can honestly say, and this is my truth and my truth only, that's not always the case. Yeah, I can tell you from my own personal experience. Now, y'all gonna see how crazy I am in a minute, but I can tell you from my own personal experience, women don't, or people, I know because it's not just women, people, well, Daryl, me, I have had some of my best relationships when I had the least amount of money. It's weird, but it's true. I've had some of my best relationships with the least amount of money. And it's not because I wasn't trying to strive for money or anything like that, because I told you guys I've been financially insecure before, and it's not an easy place. I remember admitting it to my best friends that I wouldn't want to start a relationship like that. But I can honestly say the flesh wants what it wants. The mind wants the heart wants what it wants. But I've had some of the best relationships when I had the least amount of money. It's weird. I don't know why. I've heard women. One of my friends, Ebony, she tells me all the time. She's like, Daryl, you waiting on, getting to this place. She's like, but it's women out there that's ready to, help build at this point. But I've always looked at it like this. Growing up, my mom has always told me a man's supposed to always have. Now, I love my mom, but it's not the truth because sometimes men need help as well. No, I do. We do. We need help, and we need wisdom, understanding, and all of these different things. But at the end of the day, there have been times where I just did not have it, and I've had women to have my back. Now we didn't work out for whatever reason, but it's been true. It's been true, and it's going to always remain that way. Now I'm not telling you anybody, man or woman, to try to take somebody out of the gutter and build them up. No, I'm talking about someone that you that like you back, that favor y'all, just y'all get along with each other. Because I believe that there are certain things you're going to see with the person that you come in contact with. Because I look for certain things. I know what the Bible tells me. The Bible tells me when I find a wife, I obtain favor. I look at, do I get favor when I'm in contact with this woman? That's a whole lot of stuff I look at. I look at if a woman makes me sleepy. This sounds weird, but I've seen times where women that I was not supposed to be with, every time I spoke to them, I would automatically start yawning. I'm not saying that's a sign from God, but there's something I'm like, why is every time I talk to this woman, I get sleepy all of a sudden? They're not here anymore. I've seen times where I've come around people and my energy is just instantly drained. I'm talking about like, as soon as you say hello, energy gone. I just do not know. In some relationships I've had to repent for. Some relationships I've maintained. I probably should have let go a long time ago. Let go of a long time ago. Some relationships um, I've been on the fence about. I've said, I don't know. This one girl in particular, we don't talk anymore. We haven't talked in a very long time, but we had a sexual relationship. Honest to God, truth. She was saved, I was saved, but that flesh was weak. We had a sexual relationship, and and I was very honest with her. I was very honest with her because, growing up, you hear the word and things like that. And one of the things that really kept me from pursuing that relationship, like for real, was because we had sex. Now, this was like I said back in the day, but because back then, you know, we've always heard growing up in purity culture that if you have sex before marriage, that don't necessarily mean that means your relationship not gonna last. Well, I can't say that it's true because I've seen virgins get married and be virgins when they become married and now they're divorced. So I can't say that. And I was very honest with her about that. I told her that I didn't know what I wanted to do and I was very indecisive. And so she decided to move on. I don't blame her. But at the end of the day, again, this happened a while ago, but at the end of the day, I just could not make a decision based on her, and I really liked her. It's just I couldn't settle my heart and mind with that whole situation. There was nothing wrong with her. She was very beautiful. Now I've since deleted all of our messages. I've deleted FaceTime calls. I've deleted the pictures and everything. Again, this has been a while, so we won't see each other. Now this 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 uh live tonight, I had actually found a picture of somebody I used to date from 2018. And this relationship, well, we started out as friends. We started out as business. Our relationship started out as business. Now this was 2018 that I knew her. And but I liked her. I'm not gonna lie, I liked her. I was a little bit older than she was. She had two children. I was gonna use that picture as a thumbnail, but I was like, I don't need anybody in my business like that. But anyway, she was my quote unquote type. But we didn't have the things that I needed to sustain my life and her life, to be in a relationship. Okay, Braves. Got one in it. Anyway, so she didn't have the things that I needed. She came from a very broken background. Her mother had passed away. She wasn't talking to her father. She rarely had family that was in her life and things like that. But I had taken on this mindset that, I can fix her. Just hand it to me, God, I can fix her. But that was the furthest thing from the truth. That was the furthest thing from the truth. So, but real talk though, that's what this all brought this all about. Is I was thinking about that relationship and how I was willing to do whatever to make it work. And we didn't align spiritually completely. We didn't align intellectually completely. It's a lot of stuff that we didn't have in common, but it was a lot of stuff I ain't gonna call them all red flags. It was a lot of amber flags that I was willing to look past just because I wanted her. And she was the motivation for this. And I thank God that she and I don't talk anymore, because I realized that I can't force anybody's hand when it comes to me or any type of relationship or anything like that. She was everything I thought I wanted. Everything I thought I wanted. But at the end of the day, she was nothing that I needed. Nothing that I needed. And that was one of the when I finally got that revelation a few years ago, I was like, it's time for me to just let this person go for good. And that's what I did. I hope she's well. I hope her children are well. But she's not the woman for me, and I'm not the man for her, especially, not back then. But we, it happened. And a lot of my relationships I kept under wraps because I didn't know. If I probably could have been remarried years ago. But I wanted to be different this time. I didn't want it to start out the same. And I could say that I'm choosing better. Yeah, I'm choosing better. I'm actually more secure now than I was back then when it came to relationships. I'm okay if I can't be somebody's. I don't ever want to be somebody's everything anyway. I never want that. I don't want the responsibility of making somebody happy. No, if anything, I can add to your happiness with my joy. I want you to have your joy coming in. I remember this girl had said we was having a conversation. I sent the messages to my friends, and I was like, "Hey, y'all got somebody? Hold on to them, please, because this is what we dealing with out in these streets." This girl was crazy. This girl told me she said she asked me something about if your woman going through something, what would you do? I was like, well, she's like, how would you handle it? I told her how I would handle it. She said, no, I don't like that answer because, you should be able to take the day off of work and deal with her. I'm like, baby girl, I'm not doing that. And Tyrone enjoy these comments, they'll tell you. I said, baby girl, I'm not doing that. That's not gonna happen. I said because I could be the leader and still take care of her, and I can understand what she's going through, but I can still get up and go to work. No, I'm not doing that. And so, needless to say, that didn't go past the conversation. But anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. But I just wanted to say those things. I didn't know what I was going to say today. I didn't know how long I was going to be here, but I'm here. But that's me in a nutshell. Your boy done been through some things. I done did some things. I've had my heart broken. I've broken a few hearts. I've been fumbled. I fumbled some people. But I've learned and I've dealt with me. God is still working on me because, as you can see, I'm still not married. Believe it or not, that is my goal. I do want to be married, and I don't want to be 75 when I get married. I've been divorced since 2011. Y'all know I had Scooter, so I've had at least one girlfriend. I've had multiple girlfriends since then. But I just don't. I don't want to make. I don't want to make. I don't want to make myself force somebody to be with me, and I don't want to force somebody. I don't want to force myself to be with somebody. And I don't want nobody to try to force themselves to be with me. Thanks. My mom says it's called life. It is called life. But I'm not. I'm not. I'm not ashamed of anything, but I'm also not glorifying certain things that I did because, I mean, honestly, I was out when I was married. I was out there wild. I was out there, in them streets. I cheated. I did all of those things. It seemed like when I hit the state line, I was a different person. But the truth of the matter is, I was wrong. I apologized. I've atoned. Done all that I needed to do. But at the end of the day, life is life, and I learned better, and now I do better. Um, yeah. So, anybody got any questions or concerns or any phone calls? I got about 5 or 10 minutes. 'Cause I got stuff I gotta do. Time to get ready for work. All my chores are done. Um, so let me say this also. I've been considering. I've been considering taking on. I've been considering taking on a co-host. Probably somebody that's going to be remote. Um, because believe it or not, having trying to get a guest every week is hard. People have lives. Some of the people that I'm interested in, everybody might not be interested in. I still reach out to people and things like that. But um, yeah, I am considering. I'm going to seek, God on this more. But I'm considering taking on a co-host. And the name of the show might change. I don't know. I still want to keep the same time slot. And I've also been seeking God for a job where I can be at home every day versus on the weekends because you guys know I'm a truck driver and I really don't have time throughout the week to do the things that I need to do. So that's something that I've really been thinking about and trying to do. I got to go and pass my hazmat exam. I went last week and didn't make it. So, but it is what it is. It was 5 years since I learned this stuff. Anyway, so nobody got any comments? Nobody got any questions or concerns? I spent 56 minutes on here and I'm surprised. I thought it was going to last 30 minutes. So either I like to talk or God had a lot to say. So as always, I'm thankful for you guys being here. I love you guys. I want you guys to have a great week. I am going out here to take care of this household. I am working hard. My uncle sent me a great book. I'm going to start reading that from John Hope Bryant, Financial Literacy for All, because who doesn't need that? I want to say shout out to my Uncle Terry. I appreciate you. Um, yeah, I love you guys. God bless you. Thanks for showing up. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for reacting. And next week, we'll have another show, and it's going to be great. Okay? God bless you. Peace. Hey, little Musty. My bad. I forgot. I was too busy trying to get up out of here because, I'm off to the next thing. Check this out. I forgot to tell you, I need for you to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here. Every time you see this chocolate man with these headphones and this doggone black glasses, you know you're finna get some good quality content. We over here talking with some sense over here, okay? I want you to let all you people know. Tell them to meet me every Sunday night, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, every streaming platform you can find. Please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate your support, and I thank you. I'll catch you next time. All right? Peace.